Captain Michael Ramsey of the Salvation Army, speaking on behalf of the Alberni COVID-19 community response again this week. And this week I want to send out a special thank you to all our volunteers and partners who have been helping us on the food truck to bring meals to people safely and securely each and every week. I'd like to thank Kelsa Aid, who has been helping a couple days a week with serving food off the truck. I'd like to thank Elam Church, who has been making food and delivering them on Mondays. I want to thank Grace Point Church, who has been making and delivering the meals on Fridays. And I'd like to thank my Rotary Club, the AM Rotary Club, who every Thursday is faithfully out there delivering meals. And I'm so thankful, too, that my youngest daughter is part of that group. And again, I want to thank the Bread of Life for making those meals and the Salvation Army for providing the truck. You know, Port Alberni, we're a really great community. There are so many wonderful people and so many wonderful organizations, and we're all coming together to help those in most need. So Port Alberni, thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Buchert. I'm a member of the Community Action Team here in Port Alberni, and I'd like to talk to you about my concerns about the ongoing opioid crisis. The numbers that we got from the coroner's office for Port Alberni alone were 51 people died of opioid poisoning or overdoses right here in this area. The only other stats I've seen since then are for BC. 110 people died in November of 2021 from the same thing, and in December, 125. That's 125 people who have not only lost their lives, have lost their futures, and anybody who loves them is grieving and hurting because they're gone. I'm a big believer in trying to reduce stigma and trying to prevent it. And so often I hear comments about, oh, they're just a piece of garbage, they're nothing, they're not worth even thinking about, we'd be better off without them. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with crimes that are committed, but I'm talking about the people today. Each person who has died from an overdose got started on taking drugs for reasons that we don't really know or really understand. We didn't live with them when they were going through their childhood. We didn't grow up with them in what could have been abusive home situations. We don't know what injuries, what illnesses, what experience they have had that have made them so desperate to find relief that they have turned to drugs that have ended up killing them. Please remember when you see these people that they are human beings. And the way I look at it is if I treat them as a human being, maybe they're going to realize that, hey, somebody sees me, doesn't just see a pile of garbage. And somebody doesn't think that I'm not worth anything. Like when I see people on the street who are struggling, because I'm an older woman, I will go up to them and I will say, hey, how you doing today? And if they're not being, hostile or anything like that, I will often say, hey, could you use a mum hug? My son was able to use them when he was out on the streets. Unfortunately, he's now been in recovery for over a year. We're losing our younger population, and the numbers are escalating all the time. It's got to stop somewhere. There's a lot of concerns about regulating the safe supply of drugs. Well, if people are going to use drugs, wouldn't you rather it be something that's not going to kill them? That isn't their choice. They're just trying to find some relief from their pain. So please don't look at them as pieces of garbage. Please think of them as human beings, as members of this community And if they are not being rejected, many of them have turned around and gone on to lead productive lives. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chase Classen. I'm from Victoria, BC. I have a brother named Jet, a sister named Ayla, and my dad's name is Vincent. My mom's name is Allison. My stepdad's name is David, and my stepmom's name is Rainey. I have a pet dog named Harley. He's part pug, dachshund, and miniature pinscher. Parents are always watching my games. It's pretty awesome. My dad played hockey a tiny bit growing up, and then my brother played a couple years, but then quit for lacrosse. Well, if I wasn't playing hockey, I'd probably be playing lacrosse. I used to play lacrosse growing up. I enjoyed it, but I just decided to go with hockey because I thought I was a little better at it. I love playing in Port Alberni because I got some family up here. My grandma lives up here, and my mom's from here. So I've been up here every summer at the lakes, in the outdoors. I just really like it up here.
Would you like to receive fresh, locally grown produce every week all through the growing season and support local agriculture? If the answer is yes, the Port Alberni Shelter Farm CSA program is going to be of interest to you. And if you're not sure what a CSA program is, well, Claire Gendron is here to explain it.
It stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and so the idea is that by purchasing a CSA share at the beginning of the season, it supports farmers throughout the season to be able to know how much we need to grow and have the funds to do that up front. Basically get a box of weekly local produce, and it varies depending on the time of year, shares and full shares. And the full shares are somewhere around 10 items, and the half shares are around 5 items. So that would look like maybe a head of lettuce, a bunch of carrots, a bunch of beets, a handful of tomatoes, and a cucumber or 2.
Sound interesting? You can find out more information at portalbernishelter.com or by contacting Guy Langlois at 250-720-5177 or emailing him at guy_pashelter@shaw.ca. This year's CSA program runs from June 4th to October 22nd, and the time to sign up is now.
Hello, this is Kirsten Smith, Collections Curator at the Alberni Valley Museum. Today, on Museum at Home, we're looking at the museum's textile project. The textile project is essentially a reorganization of part of the textile collection, mostly clothing, that's displayed in the 95 drawers in the upstairs gallery. The other day I found the draft of the original idea for this project and it was dated to 2013, so it's taken us a while to bring this to fruition. Why reorganize? As new pieces come into the collection, they're placed in empty drawers where there's space. Over time, some collections grow more than others, and it's difficult to keep the pieces together. It was just time to pull everything out, sort it, and put it all back again. If only it were that easy. The drawers have to be removed entirely in order to change the contents. And where do you put 95 drawers and their contents, all while the museum is open to the public? Part of being a visible storage museum means that our storage space is in the public galleries, and to work in the storage space means you often have to have provisions for dealing with the public as well as the artifacts. We drafted a plan to accomplish the move in the gallery space. Remove one drawer, take out the contents, put it in the next drawer, and continue. But it's a very slow process and requires a lot of staff. 3 to pull the drawers and arrange the textiles, and then 1 to look after the museum's front desk and interact with the public. So you can imagine, when you're down to 2.5 staff spread over 6 days, this kind of work just doesn't get done. Along the way, as we were working with the costume collection, we developed an exhibit. Many of you may remember our Dressing Alberni exhibit from 2018. This exhibit helped us to progress somewhat in the project. It allowed us to pull a number of pieces all at once, and with the addition of some summer students to our regular staff, We were able to reinstate a number of pieces in their new location. But the bulk of the work happened in spring of 2021, when the combination of COVID and empty gallery space allowed us to use a different approach that only required 2 museum staff with some outside assistance. Due to COVID, the museum had limited opening hours, which allowed more behind-the-scenes work to get done behind closed doors. This was coupled with a big gap in the temporary exhibit schedule. We ended up with 9 weeks where we could use the space in the temporary exhibits gallery. So instead of working on 1 drawer at a time, we could pull 15 to 20 drawers at a time. Our process was to have the parks crew come in and bring a set of drawers down. Amy and I would work for 1 or 2 weeks on the objects in the drawers, and then the parks crew would return, bring the completed set upstairs, and haul a new set down. Our main initiative was to reorganize the drawers, but while we had the drawers open, we took the opportunity to get some other museum work done. This included a condition check. Condition checks are part of regular museum maintenance, examining objects to see how they're faring. Are they fading? Have insects eaten them? Has that stain spread? Is that rip any larger? Have they become brittle? You can see the silk lining on this jacket has shattered. The condition check can be compared to past and future condition checks to see how stable an object is and if any intervention is required. We also completed any gaps in the cataloging. Cataloging, which is gathering all the data about an object, its history, how it looks, what material it's made of, its official name, its dimensions, is a very detailed job that takes time. It's also difficult to do without the object right in front of you. There are times when pieces are put on display with only skeletal cataloging, just the bare minimum. But with the pieces out of the drawers, this was a great opportunity to flesh out the cataloging on some pieces where it may have been lacking. And we also took photographs. It's our practice to photograph every object that comes into the museum, but many objects were photographed with black and white film, which is less useful in the digital age. So partially for our records, but also to have some digital content available for future projects, we photographed the pieces in color and in a digital format. We've also photographed as many pieces as possible on a mannequin. How clothing looks on a mannequin gives a greater understanding of how the piece was worn, and having this photograph can be useful for future interpretation. The drawers, as they've always been, are divided into 9 banks labeled A through I. Bank A has shallower drawers that are more accommodating for small or flat textiles. As has been done previously, we're using these drawers for small articles of clothing and various flat textiles: gloves, doilies, scarves, aprons, patches and badges, ribbons, etc. As you can't see what's in the upper drawers, unless you're very tall, the objects were positioned in the drawers so you get to see a little of everything. Banks B and G are the longest drawers, nearly 1.5 meters wide, and these are being used for ladies' dresses. Within these drawers, we grouped the dresses. The 3 wedding dresses are together, the pageantry dresses, the May Queen, Rose Queen, Miss Port Alberni, those dresses are together, and the remaining dresses are organized by date, which range from the circa 1850s day dress to a more modern shift dress from the 1960s. Men's clothing can be found in Banks C and D. Bank C is fairly wide and Bank D is narrow. In some cases, we put a whole outfit across 2 drawers. The pants, for example, are in the longer drawer. The corresponding top, the shirt or the vest, is in the neighboring D drawer. Within the men's section, clothing is divided into more formal dress wear, work jackets, and military uniforms. Bank H, also fairly wide, has occupational uniforms: nurses, firefighters, and RCMP. Banks E and F contain clothes for sport and recreation. This is the area of the collection that has grown the most since the last organization of the textiles. And here we've sorted the collection into baseball and softball, scouts and girl guides, the drill team for the Valliettes. There are drawers for high school recreation. This includes cheerleading and the 1940s basketball team, the Termites. And then much more basketball, with a number of Alberni athletics pieces, including some from both the 1955 and the 1965 championship teams. And then in Bank I, also narrow, the upper drawers hold underthings, corsets, slips, etc., and the lower drawers hold children's clothing. When we've arranged the drawers, we've tried to make them interesting for viewing rather than just storage. For example, here we've turned over part of the trousers so you can look inside and see the fastening systems. This West Coast Rangers jacket is folded so you can see parts of both the front and the back of the jacket, while these radio jackets are arranged so the most interesting side can be viewed. In other cases, we've placed entire outfits together, like this scout outfit that includes all the pieces, instead of putting the hat with the hat section and the scarf in the scarf section. Or this 1920s wedding dress, originally on display on its own, but now we've been able to add the tiara and garter that were donated by a different family member at a later date. After our very busy 9 weeks of sorting and cataloging and photographing, there was more work to do. We spent several months processing all the photographs, labeling them, filing them, attaching them to the proper records in the database. And not all the clothing fit in the drawers, so we've now processed those extra pieces as well and packed them in boxes to move to a more permanent storage area. These pieces that won't be on display tend to be repeats, objects that we have more than one of. As I record this in early 2022, we are waiting on some parts for drawer repairs, after which the textile collection will once again be open to the public. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching another episode of the Alberni Valley Museum's Museum at Home.
Hello everybody, Dave Kusan with Community Policing. Myself and the volunteers are out today delivering our property crime awareness letters in our neighborhoods. This is a program we started up here recently, and it's all about bringing education to areas in the community that have been hit with property crime, such as theft from vehicle, theft of vehicle, and break-and-enters. Through Crime Stats, we create a list of addresses every month to go and visit. What we do is every address that's been victimized by a theft or break-and-enter or theft from, we take up to 10 letters to that particular neighborhood, and we spread the word of awareness in that particular area. So not just the victim gets the information, but their neighbors and their neighborhood does as well. So it creates more of a blanketed awareness. There's a bunch of information inside the letters on household safety, vehicle safety, and also there's an actual checklist you can do as a resident to see how safe and how secure your residence really is. So it's like a little a survey that we give to you. We're also promoting the Block Watch program to get people aware of what's going on out in the streets in front of their houses. So really, this is a great way to build awareness in our communities. All these resources, by the way, we have on our website. So you can actually go to our website under the Resources tab and download and look at all the stuff we're sending out to learn more about safety and protecting their residences and property. So a big thank you goes out to our volunteers. You know, they're dedicated to getting out and promoting safety in our communities. If you want to come and volunteer and participate in a great program like this, please visit our website.
Hi, I'm Josh Sari from Nanaimo, BC. My dad's name is Mitch, my mom's name is Maria, and I have a golden retriever dog named Abby. Nanaimo is a beautiful city. They call it the Harbor City. Lots of things to do there, the outdoors, the waterfront. My hockey background, my dad played lots of hockey growing up. I would say we're a hockey family. I have a cousin who plays quite high-level hockey, so it's been cool growing up in a hockey family. In my spare time, I enjoy golfing, doing things outdoors, hanging out with my friends, traveling. And my most favorite thing about Port Alberni would be the outdoors. We love going on hikes, and actually there's some pretty good food spots here too.
Hello, I'm Captain Michael Ramsey of the Salvation Army, speaking on behalf of the Alberni COVID-19 community response again this week. And this week I want to send out a special thank you to all our volunteers and partners who have been helping us on the food truck to bring meals to people safely and securely each and every week. I'd like to thank Kelsa Aid, who has been helping a couple days a week with serving food off the truck. I'd like to thank Elim Church, who has been making food and delivering them on Mondays. I want to thank Grace Point Church, who has been making and delivering the meals on Fridays. And I'd like to thank my Rotary Club, the AM Rotary Club, who every Thursday is faithfully out there delivering meals. And I'm so thankful, too, that my youngest daughter is part of that group. And again, I want to thank the Bread of Life for making those meals and the Salvation Army for providing the truck. You know, Port Alberni, we're a really great community. There are so many wonderful people and so many wonderful organizations, and we're all coming together to help those in most need. So Port Alberni, thank you. Thank you very much.